right. Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Business Learning Lab. I'm Jennifer,
I'm Meredith.
and we are the co founders of Sparent, a virtual assistant agency. We work with a talent pool of stay at home moms, and we deliver professional virtual assistant services in a variety of formats to busy business owners and businesses that are growing and have needs in their daily operations department. So today we're talking about the question, are references a waste of time? And we specifically mean collecting references for potential hires. We've heard this before. We've been told, oh, references don't mean anything, right? They don't give you an accurate, take on the applicant. They can be faked, right? Meredith, what have we heard? We've heard all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we almost get laughed at sometimes when we mention that we ask every candidate for references because, like, you never get a bad reference. What's the point?
Yeah.
So, what is our point? Why? What is our magic that we
Our magic. Well, I think references are a waste of time if you don't spend the time needed to evaluate the quality of the references you're receiving while you're collecting them. So if you're just looking at the surface of references, yes, they might not have the value that you want them to have. So it really pays off to spend some time evaluating the quality of the references. So, and I don't mind sharing some of the things that we look for personally. First of all, we do ask for multiple references, and they all have to be professional references, right? So no friends or family members are allowed on the reference list, because we really want to hear from people that have worked directly in a supervisory position with our candidates, so that they can give us their feedback on all of the qualities that we tell them that we're looking for. The other thing is, when we talk to references, we craft a conversation around the type of candidate we're looking for. So we're talking to them specifically about qualities that are important to us, and that may or may not be directly related with their hard skills, that those things may be more related to their soft skills.
Exactly. And I think when you say getting references from professional, people that work with professionally, but also kind of going along with what we talked about in our last video about thinking outside the box when you're putting together a candidate profile, that doesn't always have to be a traditional job.
No.
It can be someone they worked for on the school PTO. It can be someone that they volunteer with, that they have a side business with, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, our professional reference definition is fairly broad because we're working with stay-at-home moms. They have gaps in their professional careers by nature. So yes, we are looking for exactly, those types of professional references that you mentioned.
And in some cases, I think that helps because they aren't the people writing the references aren't necessarily accustomed to writing a lot of different references. And so while, yes, it's rare that someone writes a bad reference, you can sometimes read between the lines of what they're writing, and see that they are less enthusiastic or more enthusiastic, or that the specific questions that we're asking, like you said, that they're crafted to some things we're specifically looking for, that they, without outright saying no, that this person is not good at that, or doesn't fit that, they tend to reveal more than even they think they're revealing.
Yeah. The other quality that I think is important is expediency. And that's on two levels. One, how expedient is my applicant in getting me references? Like how easy is it for them to compile, or do they already have references ready to go? I'm a little impressed by that. Also, how quickly do those references, once contacted, how quickly and enthusiastically do they get back to you? Now that this is not 100% because some people are on vacation, or we're going through a pandemic and all sorts of crazy history making news lately, so people are a little off kilter, and that's completely understandable. But in general, if somebody does get back to me quickly and enthusiastically, because they are excited about wanting to share what they know about this candidate, and they want the best for them, that tells me a lot about the candidate themselves.
Exactly. And
Experience.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you do more of the hands-on with the referrals, but there have been times where one of the referrals doesn't ever come through, or you just really have to chase them down. And a lot of times it does correspond to a parent or a VA that may or may not work out that great. It's not 100% link, but I think our
we look at it. We definitely do. And, in that, that enthusiasm is really important because, I can look at two different candidates, and one candidate, I've got all the references came back quickly. They're all effusive, right? They tell me a lot about the candidate. They write paragraphs, or they want to get on the phone. They can't wait to tell me about this person. And then maybe there's another candidate and they're sluggish to get back to me. When they do, they don't say anything bad, but they're not enthusiastic. Like, they're not telling, they're just giving me a couple of sentences. And that tells me a lot too, because most people aren't going to give you negative feedback on anybody, because people are very afraid of liability and things getting back to the candidate. So they won't say anything negative. So you've got to read between the lines sometimes on that feedback.
Exactly. And so I think it is a really useful tool, even if, but you do have to put some work into it. You're not going to get a reference that says, don't hire this person, or only hire them if you have them do XYZ. You do have to sort of put in the work to interpret the references. And again, it's just another way to interact with your candidate as well.
Absolutely.
How diverse is, how many different experiences are covered on this list. And not anything is like a definite yes or no, or good or bad, or, plus or minus. You have to take it all together as one puzzle, put it all together in addition to everything else that you're going to learn about this candidate in order to, but we have found it to be a very, very good indicator of the success of potential experience.
Absolutely. And it's saved us in two cases, Meredith. So we had one Sparent VA going through the onboarding or vetting process, and this candidate I almost did not bring forth to that stage. Like, I interviewed her, I was a little on the fence. Actually, Meredith and I co-interviewed this particular candidate, and Meredith was like, no, I think we should push her forward. I was like, I don't know. She was really shy. She was very understated. I couldn't really read her very well. But we went ahead and we proceeded and got her references, which she had ready to go, by the way. And they were all professional, and they were every single job that she had worked in her work history, she had a reference from them. And I thought that was very impressive. Not everybody can say that. A lot of people leave jobs and burn bridges, or don't feel they don't have a good relationship with their former employers. I put that in the plus column if you have a good relationship with all of your former employers. Not only that, but I got consistent comments, and I always look for consistency in the references. I look for consistent comments. Every single professional reference told me I would be crazy if we did not hire her. In one way or the other, they told me that if you don't hire her, you're an idiot. They said it much more nicely than that, but that is what they all said. And so we hired her, and she is amazing. And I absolutely would have been an idiot if I had not hired her. The second time references saved us, Meredith, was an applicant who was not anybody we should have hired, and she provided references. They were supposedly professional references, but the reference emails were not company emails, which, it doesn't have to be, but they were all kind of weird emails. Like, they were kind of wacky emails. And I was like, that's interesting. And they all wrote very long references for us, but the writing style for all the references was very similar. The same words were misspelled, the same grammar mistakes were made. And I realized that these were artificial references. These were I think the candidate wrote her own references and just, went and, gobbled up some email addresses. So if I had just taken those references at the surface and said, oh, good reference, good reference, good reference, let's go, we would have been in trouble.
Yes.
So
yes, because she turned out to be running a couple scams.
yeah, she was our first scam applicant. I'm trying to combine those two words. It's not working. Scamplicant. I don't know. So, so absolutely, references are important. Do not underestimate them.
Yes, exactly. And just quickly to acknowledge the scroll on the bottom here. So because we spend so much of our time, well, one of the reasons that because we spend so much time on references and recruiting and evaluating and vetting, and we've become experts in the field, we also offer a VA to hire service that is newer among our offerings for companies that want an employee, an actual full-on W-2 employee versus a virtual assistant, which would be a 1099 consultant position or contractor position. So we can apply all of our skill at vetting to getting you a regular virtual employee.
Absolutely. And we call it VA to hire. That's our terminology. You may be more familiar with contract to hire. We do place them for a 3-month period in a contractor role. And then if everybody likes each other, then the job offer can be made. It's a great way if you are short-staffed, looking to fill a role, don't have maybe the resources for vetting and sourcing applicants. That's what we take off your plate. It's ideal for roles in HR, customer service, social media marketing, PR. Those are a lot of the roles that we see come through our doors, in addition to like executive assistant, personal assistant roles, that sort of thing. So anyway, come to us. We'd be happy to talk to you about how we work. And other than that, we will be back next week with another business learning lab where we share the lessons we've learned. So hopefully you can save yourself the trouble.
All right.
All right. Bye. Until next time.